For 25 years, the Kurds of Iraq had been waiting for this day, the fall of Baghdad and the end of Saddam Hussein. The streets in Erbil, the biggest city in Iraqi Kurdistan, erupted into euphoria. For the Kurds, the Iraqi war was truly one of liberation. They suffered brutally under Saddam's regime, and now their dream of real independence is in sight. Since the end of the First Gulf War in 1991, the Americans protected the Kurds with the Northern No-Fly Zone. They built a de facto state called the Kurdish Autonomous Zone, with Erbil at its centre. But most Kurds see Kirkuk, just outside the zone, as their true capital. In a quiet part of Erbil, Mayouf Sayid is preparing to make the journey of his lifetime. For 15 years he has lived here as a refugee. 2 days ago, Kirkuk was liberated by Kurdish forces. Now he's going home. Sayid is just one of about 100,000 Kurds that Saddam Hussein expelled from Kirkuk in a savage ethnic cleansing program. They were marched from their homes and forced north into the Kurdish-controlled part of Iraq. Their houses were given to Iraqi Arabs. Sayid has been told that the Arab man who was in his house fled a few days ago. Thousands of other Kurds have jammed the roads to come and share in the dream of a liberated Kirkuk, a place they see as the heart of Iraqi Kurdistan. We get through the final checkpoint and Sayid prays. It's a defining moment for him. Sayid once again is walking the street to his house. Most Kurdish families in this street were expelled from their homes. The Kurdish man who greets Sayid at his house was one of them. Sayid was born in this house and raised his family here, but he is also haunted by its memories. Sayid saw his 14-year-old son dragged from here and executed by Saddam's agents because he was suspected of having links to the Kurdish resistance. But slowly, Sayid's neighbours and relatives come and greet him for the first time. The Kurdish community in Eskan, a suburb of Kirkuk, is coming back and reconnecting. Sayid hasn't seen his cousin, Jamal Ali, in 15 years.
پێویستی بە شتێکی هەیە پێویستی بە شتێکە یعنی لە خواردن لە هەموو شتێک بۆ ئێمە زیاترە ئەویش فکرکردنەوەی لەو ئینسانانە ئایان بەسەرا چی هاتووە چیان بەسەر ناهاتووە
لەگەڵ مای ناسن لەوێ لەوزە لە هەولێر
These two girls are the neighbour's daughters. Sayid has never seen them before. They represent his lost years at Kirkuk. This city has served as a powerful symbol of Kurdish suffering, and this is why there is such a strong emotional attachment to regaining it. In the coming week, Sayid will bring the rest of his family back to his house. For nearly 20 years, the Iraqi army used Kirkuk's ancient citadel to keep a watch on the city. Now the people are coming back to examine a past that has been steeped in 5,000 years of conquest and conflict. Kirkuk is seen as the Jerusalem of northern Iraq because of the many ethnic groups who lay claim to it. But the reality is that the Kurds are not a majority in Kirkuk anymore. While Saddam was forcing Kurds out, he brought in 250,000 Arabs from southern and central Iraq to replace them. Abu Ahmed Salim was one of them, coming from Baghdad in 1991. For 10 years loyal service in the Iraqi army, he was offered 200 square metres of land in Kirkuk and about $10,000 if he moved.
فزوجت أثناء الحرب العراقية الإيرانية بعدين ما قدرت أزمة سكن وما عندي إمكانية ذيك الإمكانية فاضطريت استغليت هذا قرار الدولة.
While many Arabs have fled Hay al-Nasser, an area of Kirkuk, Abu Ahmed doesn't accept he's taken Kurdish land and refuses to leave the house he has built.
أرض عراقية ليش ماكو إكراد ببغداد؟ هاي لا هنا بالمنطقة منطقة شولة كانت وبني طانة ولزم.
Kurds like Mohammed Ratha, who lived under Saddam's rule, had no choice but to change their ethnicity from Kurdish to Arab. If Mohammed didn't sign these correction papers, he had no rights to own a property, register a business or a marriage. The Kurdish forces, or Peshmerga, captured Kirkuk without much of a fight. The Iraqi army fled their posts. But the real conflict is about to start. Saddam kept a tight lid on the community tensions in Kirkuk, but with his regime gone, ethnic hatreds and rivalries have taken over. Many Arabs are wondering if one tyranny has been replaced by another. This Arab family living in Wahid Hozeran says gangs of Kurdish militias are terrorising their neighbourhood.
بس هي بالبيت
ما موجود
احنا
جهال اصغر طبع علي لا الصبح اي والله من الصبح اخذوها وطلعوا طلعيها هسه.
After taking their car, they are now threatening to take the house.
احنا نسكن بس من الصبح الساعة 6 الصبح اجوا علينا بعد ما ماكلين اكل ما ماكلين الساعة 6 الصبح يقولون طلعوا من البيت هسه لو يودونا حتى لو لإسرائيل هم نقبل بس ما نبقى على هالوضع.
هم يطلعون علينا.
On the streets, other residents quickly emerge to tell similar stories. It's not a good sign for future coexistence between Arabs and Kurds.
خلانا نحقد على حتى كرد.
يقولون أنتم عرب مكانكم مو هنا.
ما عندنا مكان، إحنا وين نروح؟ عراق ما عندنا شبر.
Down the road, this Arab man, who had his car torched, wants Saddam Hussein to come back and restore order.
هسه أنا كل شيء ما شايف ناس، شايفين من الوضع، كل شيء ما شايف. يعني بوقتنا أحسن. هسه كل شيء ما شايف. لا سوق أكل، لا أكل زين، لا كل شيء ماكو، غالي السوق، مي ماكو، كهرباء ماكو.
Not only are communities at war with each other, but also against themselves. This Kurdish woman worked as an agent for Saddam's regime, informing on fellow Kurds. She claims she's been bashed by Kurdish Peshmerga. These women have brought her here as a collaborator to be dealt the justice of the streets. The Americans have come in to secure the city and its vast oil fields, but not to bring order back to this lawless town. Instead, this show of force at the former Ba'ath Party headquarters is largely for Turkey. The Turks have threatened to invade northern Iraq if Kurds seize and control Kirkuk. They fear Kurdish self-rule here will ignite similar aspirations among their own 12 million Kurds. The Kurds have obeyed US orders and largely withdrawn their fighters from the city, but politically it's a different story. The Kurdish party, the PUK, has appointed a governor of Kirkuk, Rozgar Ali.
ئێمە بە حکومی مبادرە بە حکومی دەستپێشکەری هاتینەیەرە چونکە شارەکە سکوریتیتیانە بوو ئاویتیانە بوو کارەبایتیانە بوو هاتین شاری خۆمانەی زۆر خەڵکی زۆری کوردیتیایە و هەمووی عێراقیە هاتین بۆیە ئەو کارانە بکەین.
The Kurdish administration has filled a power vacuum. They say they are putting together a town council of 24 members to reflect the ethnic diversity of Kirkuk. But it's a process they're in charge of.
لەبەرەوەی دیارە خەڵکیش بە قسەی کردوین کە بە زوویی توانیمانە ئەو ئیشانە دروستکەینەوە.
No, because I think that people have obeyed them.
توانیمانە ئەم هەموو شتانە دروست بکەینەوە.
And we could to make all these things.
ئەو معناوەی ئێمە لەناو جەماهیرە خۆشەویستین و لەناو خەڵکە خەڵکیشی زۆرمانەیە.
The biggest prize in Kirkuk is oil, and it's why the rivalry has been so intense. These oil fields will produce a third of Iraq's output, so the Americans made it a priority to control them. For the moment, the Kurds are agreeing with their American backers. Publicly, they are saying they will accept Kirkuk as a multi-ethnic city, with the oil being used for all Iraqis.
کوردەکانی کەرکووک داواکەن کە شاری کەرکووک شارێکی برایەتی و ئارام بێ بۆ هەموو ئەلوانەکانی کەتیایەتی.
But there is one other ethnic group that claims Kirkuk as its own, the Turkmen. They dominate trade and commerce and claim to be the majority in the city. For historical and ethnic reasons, they claim allegiance to Turkey. What worries the Turkmen is the de facto control their Kurdish rivals now have over the city. The Turkmen, like the Kurds, also suffered under Saddam's regime.
مواطن تركماني هاي عمر طبيت مال 62 وقت صدام حسين لحد الآن كل شيء ما محصل لحد الآن لا مسوي ولا بيت عندي كان عندنا بيت كله أخذه من عندنا
The Turkmen now feel they are being targeted by the Kurds. The death of this 9-year-old boy who was gunned down carrying a Turkmen flag has given the community its first martyr. It's not certain if he was killed by Kurds, but Turkmen leaders orchestrated these demonstrations to unite the community in calling for Turkey's protection and direct intervention.
والله أجر أم وزع أجر وها بالوطن طبعا إيما حزكا هترجع بيتها ناو كركوك أجر أم حزبانا كانوا يا بارتي ها مثلا كليه بدأوا إيما مش مثلا مجبور بس إيما يعني.
And this would inevitably start another and bloodier battle for Kirkuk. Months before the war, Turkey massed 40,000 troops at its border, ready to strike if the Kurds took Kirkuk. The Kurds have always made it clear that if the Turks invade, they will fight them to the death. To avert this nightmare scenario, the Americans have invited in 15 Turkish military observers to show them the Kurdish fighters have left the city. But with many armed Kurds still present, it's a tenuous truce at best. This is where the senior members of Saddam's Ba'ath Party resided in Kirkuk, isolated from the people, living in luxury. The head of the feared Mukhabarat, or Iraqi Secret Service, Abu Akab, lived in this house. The liberated city is now revealing its secrets. Amongst the documents the intelligence chief left behind are arbitrary arrest orders for Kurdish civilians and details of their network of agents. One in particular is a rude shock to the Kurds here. In the documents, Changul Qadri, a famed beauty and renowned artist, is revealed as one of Saddam's agents. She was known for her humanitarian work and friendship with Kurdish leaders. Kurdish forces may be justified in taking over the former centres of power of their oppressors, but what is questionable is how Kurds are randomly taking houses as their own. Zaman Muhammad has spray-painted his name on this house and is about to move his family in. This house was never owned by Zaman, and he admits that he doesn't know much about the man who lived here. Only that he was an official in the Ba'ath Party.
So what crimes did this man commit?
والله بحكم أويك إما دورين ليرانا نازانين بلام حتما أواني كهاتون طبعا ما هنا عربي جنوب هاتو إيران إترواب زانم هي منطقة الرمادية أمانة هر هميان هاتون إيران عرضي كرد داجير كان تعريب بكان أمانة هاتون طبعا امتيازيان بيدرا وباري باشان بيدرا.
Zaman says he has a right to throw out the family who lived here because the Iraqi regime did the same to him.
Passport. So will they investigate this person?
إما يا سامان بيخوش على سر همشتيك هو بي. أمانة بيز بوناك كاكا محكمة يعني بكي. أمانة تاوان بارن أبي برون هاتونا تكركوك رياجي دانشتواني كرد كم كان ولا كركوك. إيرا تعريبا كان. إنت أمانة أبي برون أما بيز بياساناك هر إنسان كمروف دوس به أزاني أمانة ما في كرديان بيشير كردوها كانت.
Only a few kilometres away, we found the Arab man and his family who have been kicked out of their house by Zaman. He tells us how Zaman justified the eviction.
قال احنا 35 سنة عايشين بالخيام واحنا وانتم عايشين باوروبا يكتب احنا شنو ذنبنا هذه.
Nadir Labed Mohammed admits he was a member of the Ba'ath Party in charge of the fire department for the regime's oil company. But he says he never committed any crime. He says the house just came with the job.
هذا النظام يعتمد على خدمات الموظف ودرجة الموظف يخصصوا لها الدور هذه مو يعني دور مال تخصصها شركة النفط. لا ما لهم حق، لا ما لهم حق، لأن هذا ممتلك شركة، ملك الشركة. وأنا هسه تقول لي الدولة أطلع وين لازم أجي مجبور. أي ماكو.
Since the fall of Kirkuk, Human Rights Watch has reported on hundreds of similar cases. The majority are not about justice, but more about misguided revenge. And it begs the question, will the oppressed become the oppressor? The Americans have brought in extra recruits to Kirkuk, but they remain outmanned and outmanoeuvred. The Kurds are deepening their control in the city. Meanwhile, the Turkmen are enlarging their own militia, and Turkey is giving them the guns. Last week, the US intercepted a Turkish convoy of arms destined for the Turkmen. Sorting out Kirkuk will be crucial for the Americans, as it will be the key to a lasting peace in northern Iraq, or the reason why deep ethnic hatreds will explode into years of conflict.